I'm really excited to talk to you because you're the perfect crowd for Narco Shark. You really got it. I don't know if there's anyone in the planet that's gonna get it like you got it.
What do you have for me this time? Hacking into the stock market, closing down a bank, fixing an election. It's all easy.
Right on.
What a bunch of trash.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Trash Movie Kings podcast. I am your host, Adam Edwards. We have a super special episode this time because we get to interview Gerardo Preciado, the director, writer, editor, actor, musician, basically the god of Narco Shark. We did an episode on Narco Shark a couple weeks ago. Loved the movie, and he was kind enough to join us. So we're gonna hop in. I'm joined as usual for these things by Apocalypse Howell. Apocalypse, how's it going?
Good. It's a nice Friday night.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got Gerardo here. So Gerardo, thank you for being here. Like, seriously, I don't know if did you listen to the episode? It's okay if you didn't, but did you happen to listen to the episode?
Yeah, I did, and I have a lot of questions myself.
Oh.
No, but seriously, I just wanted to thank you because you covered the trailer like a year ago, and then the movie just a couple of weeks ago, and actually my friends listened to the episode as well, and it was a lot of fun, and like I said before, you guys had like the perfect route for Narco Shark. You totally got it, even better than I do. I think like the way you explain it, like I thought my friends like it was a dream of mine to have someone make a video of Narco Shark explain, and I feel like you made that dream come true with your review.
Yeah, wow.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you know about us, but we've made some things in the past as well, and you do find sometimes that the crowd or the audience tends to understand your art better than you understand your own art. So it's interesting for us to be that for you. That's really awesome to hear. So I'm glad that you listened. That's awesome, and that your friends listened, and that you seem to like the episode. Before we go too much further, did you have anything you wanted to say to JD, who evidently did not like the movie too much? Do you want to tell him off?
I was actually writing. I have a black book of people that I never worked with, and I was writing his name, but he changed his score, so I erased him. So it's fine. Everything is fine.
Okay, we'll let him know. We'll let him know. He just had to change his score at the end, and we're good. Cool. Well, yeah. Let's start off with just tell us about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Where did your love for movies come from? Just tell us about Gerardo.
Yeah, well, I'm like I said, I live in northern Mexico. Right now, I live in a city called Hermosillo, which is the capital of Sonora, which has a border with Arizona. And basically, I grew up with an older brother who loved horror films. And so when I was a very little kid, I have seen all the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street, all those movies. And I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to see those films until when I had a friend. I was like 7 or 8 years old. And I think I put like a movie that's about a baby it's alive, like it's a monster baby. And my friend was playing. We were playing with G.I. Joe or something, and he wasn't looking at the TV. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And he said that my mother doesn't let me watch that stuff. And so that was like a moment where, okay, I'm not supposed to. But and also again, like my brother, he's 4 or 5 years older, and he was into Evil Dead and Peter Jackson. I forget the name. It's called Picadillo in Spanish. The first movie, Bad Taste. Those were kind of the inspirations.
Bad Taste.
And of course, then El Mariachi hit, and that was like a whole level. And so my brother was kind of the director. We had a VHS camera, and the deal I had when I was like a teenager was like I would be the writer and the star of the movie. but I wasn't never thought of myself as a director. And then I started making music, and the idea of making music for films, I wanted to do that, but it was really like super hard. Nobody wants to give you like, oh, make the music for a movie. So what I started making was soundtracks for imaginary movies. So I just started to make the music, and I kind of have like a story about the movies. And the first ones I did were based like on Italian knockoff stuff. Like I had one that's called Zombidia, which is based on zombie films like the Lucio Fulci films, and another called Terrore. And then I started making like these franchises of different horror films, and that evolved. I started to release them on vinyl through Kickstarter, and then I thought like, how can I keep this, like make it a little bigger? So I wrote the screenplay for one of the soundtracks, and I knew that eventually I was going to have to make a movie at some point. And then that's when I started to think about, like, I was going through a really bad time in my life, and my friends were like, what are you going to do? And in my 40s, and it's like, let's make a movie with my 40-year-old friends, And that's how, actually, the first movie I was going to make was TETRACTYS, the one that I'm doing next. But I thought it was too weird, so I made Narco Shark instead, which is,
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool, because I remember, like you said, we watched the trailer for Narco Shark about a year ago when it kind of first came out, and it was also a commercial or an ad for the Kickstarter. And one thing that really stuck out to me was in that trailer, it showed all of those titles, right? Like Terrore, Zombiria. You have the Giallo, and then My Little Slasher, I think, was also on there. And it was like this, you kind of got the sense of like, oh, this is an established filmmaker, right? And then you look into it more and you're like, oh, this is like really weird, because you can't tell what's like real and what's not real, and what's kind of, and it just kind of added to that allure and that mystique surrounding Narco Shark. And so I don't know how intentional that was, but I thought that was an incredible marketing move. Just your marketing mind is incredible, I think. And I don't know what the Kickstarter experience has been like for you. You said that you've sold a couple of soundtracks that way. And then obviously Narco Shark was at least partially funded through Kickstarter and some GoFundMe. So yeah, I mean, what has that been like for you?
Yeah, well, it's funny what you said, because one of the things that I love most about movies is discovering a movie that I didn't know existed, like an 80s horror film. You probably are the same, like, oh, wow. And so I wanted to fool people into thinking that, oh, Zombiria, I've never seen that film, and look it up and it doesn't exist. And so, but yeah, the vinyl records, there was a super low amount of records that I made. So I always lost a lot of money on making those Kickstarters, which was fine, because the goal was to have them released physically, right? Mm-hmm. And so I decided to lose money making movies instead of vinyls. And yeah, so because I always talk about this, these are films from another dimension, another reality. I thought, I'm gonna make a movie that's from that reality, take it here. So in that reality, like, those movies exist. That's the idea. Like, and I also made the Narco Shark imaginary soundtrack first. Then I wrote the soundtrack. I wrote the screenplay, which is why it said that it's based on an imaginary soundtrack. I think it's never has been like a marketing thing. It's more like something that I think is funny or cool, or that I would like to see, right? That I would want to discover. And so that's the idea behind that first movie, to say that from the director of this and that don't exist, and people thought that they did. So that's great.
That's the success.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And I think it also lends, or it helps. One thing that I love about Narco Shark, the movie itself, is it feels like an established universe. It feels like something that already exists, and there's all of these characters. You've got Sister Panda, you have all these things that you feel like you're kind of dropped in the middle of something rather than like an origin story or something like that. And that is such a creative juggernaut, I feel like, that you've essentially built this entire universe. Like you said, it feels like this movie's from another universe.
It does. Yeah.
And that's amazing. And it's really impressive to me that you were able to do that in your first feature film. Was that, like, how intentional was that?
Well, I wanted to, like, I created first, like, in the soundtracks, I made like over 20 soundtracks in over 10 years. And so what I discovered was that it's hard to just start making stuff like, I'm going to make 100 songs. That's really, I couldn't even start. But if you tell me, I'm going to make a 10-track soundtrack for a film that's a knockoff, an Italian knockoff of Friday the 13th, but it's really bad, and it's actually no one gets killed in the movie, and the critics hate it, and the director is blah, blah, blah. And then I start with the idea. So what I wanted to do with Narco Shark was to make a film that was made by this crazy person, that's the protagonist, which is, I made the actor first. There's a whole thing. I made an actor called Ricky Valente, but it's actually the son of. It's just stupid things that nobody cares. But it's based actually in Mexico. There are a couple of actors. There's called Mario Almada, and his brother Fernando Almada. So they are called the Almadas. So in the 80s they made like 1,000 movies. No kidding, like or more. So or straight to video, low budget movies. And also I love like Italian knockoff films, but even compared to the Italian knockoff, the Mexicans are way less budget than that. So so it's like a knockoff of a knockoff. So I wanted to create like who's going to make this movie, like the actors and stuff. And ideally the film I should have put like directed by Ricky Valente, because he's like the crazy person, but I thought that it was just too much. I had to put a line somewhere. Right. But yeah, and also another thing was that I wanted to make a movie that one of the inspirations was, of course, shot on video, and I wanted to make a movie that looked horrible, like the worst looking movie. And everything is awful. And so I pitched the idea to my brother, who is like the director of the family, and I told him, "No, I'm very excited. This movie is gonna look like crap." And he was like, "I don't want to have anything to do with that."
Yeah,
like I have a reputation, and so I have to make it myself. But yeah, those are kind of the ideas to have this. This is supposed to be like this action hero, the Ricky Valente character who's made other films.
Yeah.
And he's wearing the t-shirt that he wears throughout the movie is from My Little Slasher. So it's like, and of course there are posters of the other movies in there, and and of course he eats movies.
Yeah, he has movies for dinner.
He consumes movies.
I made your favorite movies. That's like
I forgot about
timer.
That. Yeah.
So yeah, you talked about how you intentionally wanted this movie to look bad, and you were paying homage to shot on video and all of that. So how did you shoot it? What'd you use?
Well, I joke that I use an iPhone from 1984, but because I don't know like what is the model. That's my friend's. So, like I've made soundtracks for a while now, for like I said, like over 10 years. But even before that, I've been making music. But actually, I am an architect, and my friends are architects or whatever. And so I have a friend, and because we're architects, we know a little bit about like modeling software to build houses and stuff like that. So I had a little bit of idea that it could be done. So I went to one of my best friends, his name Ricardo Torres, and I didn't look for, I'm going to look for a special effects person, it was, how can I work with my friend? And so I went to, can you make a shark float or come through a window, because that's the first image I had, was like the shark going through the window.
Yeah.
And he's like, sure. And that's, you're hired. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that was basically how, sorry, about the camera. We just shot on his phone, which is not is old, an old phone. He's got a new phone, so TETRACTYS is gonna look better now. But I don't know anything about software, hardware, lenses, any
That's
of the
amazing.
stuff. And
That's amazing.
I mean, I think that's great, you know.
But another thing about this that was to my advantage, that I think that went really well, was that I have the attitude of, if this, like we were going to shoot a scene or something, if this comes off great, that's great. If this comes up really bad, that's even better.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like somebody, like I said, here where I live sometimes is the hottest place on the planet. Sometimes once I Googled, and it was like the Sahara Desert was second place, and here where I live was first place. And so we were shooting, you know, because again, like in garbage sites, dressed with like ninjas, with this fabric, this like aluminum foil, like super hot, and the camera will get foggy. That's like you couldn't really see, and the sun and stuff. And when I got the footage, I saw like, instead of the frame that I wanted, the frame was like off, was strange. And I always like get upset like for 3 seconds, and then I remember, that's better, because that's like Samurai Cop. You know, the frames are all super weird and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's the mentality that we have throughout the whole thing. And a lot of things went wrong. Like I think the movie is funny because we are trying and failing, instead of just trying to make it bad. We're actually trying to make the things good, but we're so dumb, we're so stupid, or we just don't have the time, or the equipment, or whatever. And that's where we're failing at every step. So, for instance, Sister Panda wasn't on the screenplay, or the fact that Tito died wasn't on the screenplay. So there was a lot of these things that I have to correct during the making of the movie, so that there was like things that will be tragedies will be like, okay, now I will get upset for a couple minutes, and then how can we use this to make the movie better? So in the case of Tito, I was actually, I wish that I didn't have to clarify whether or not he's dead or not, because I think that it's cool that, but I made a book with the production diary and everything. So I think that it's okay that it's the actor who plays Tito. He's like one of my best friends. He's in short films that we met when we were 12 or 13. So we go way back. And he was one of the first persons that I said, okay, we're going to go make this movie. I am going to need you. You're going to be like in 80% of the movie. We need you to really commit. Tell me right now if you are going to be in it or not. Because if you're not going to be in it, I'm going to write a different screenplay. Because I don't know, like, a lot of people who are gonna be able to do it or want to do it, you know, because it's the stuff that they do is really stupid. And so, and he was like, I swear I'm gonna do it and stuff. And so we shoot like one day for what we shot for the trailer, and then we're about to shoot like the rest of the movie. He's like, I can't do it. I'm out for like 3 months. And so I'm like, oh, again, like, what do I do? Like, I can't. Do I write? What I was like, for 5 minutes I was very upset, and so then if Brandon Lee died on the set of The Crow, and they made like this computer things, and so I again called Ricardo and said, can we change the face of an actor? And he was like, sure. And so I'm like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. And at the beginning, I didn't know that it was gonna look so horribly. I thought it was gonna look a little better, and so I did write because I'd never seen that. I thought it was very funny to say that, during the making of the scene, somebody died and stuff. But I thought it was going to look, that I thought that the joke was going to be that you can tell that the bodies are different and stuff. But once we spent months, like 90% of the movie was trying to work out the face swap thing.
Yes.
It was like suffering completely. Like, and so once I realized that it's impossible, or we don't have the software, the hardware, whatever, I thought then let's go the other way. Let's go back to the most horrible, disturbing effect. And then that's when I added, like, you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
You lean into
that's
it, right?
the punchline to the joke 10 minutes after that. And I was so frustrated that it was so much extra work. And actually, my friend, like, also, he came back, and he actually, when he came back, then he quit again. And then because it was too much pressure, I guess I was like under too much. And so once he quit, he was like suddenly like super available, and he shot a bunch of, but he shot like all the ninja and other stuff. And so we will get Ricardo, the special effects guy, and I will get so frustrated of spending endless hours trying to correct this effect on his face. And that's when I started to add, like, the sexual diseases and all this nasty stuff that happened to him. That was like because he was making us, work extra hard for them.
So you were taking it out on him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Wow, that is all so amazing, and it was definitely a question we were going to ask.
Yeah, I'm very sad to tell you that he's not dead.
Well, after hearing that, I can imagine why.
Yeah,
that is spectacular, and I love the ingenuity, and I also love the fighting spirit. You get mad about it, but then it's like getting mad's not going to solve anything. So you're like, I'm still mad, but I got to think of a solution. And the way y'all did it, it was dark. It was. Just some of the transformation moments. It's like, whoa, what? And I start looking at my cup. I'm like wondering how much I drank. I'm like, oh, did I just see that?
It's very disturbing. And actually that also played into the movie of this. That was the there's an animated basketball sequence at a certain point, and that wasn't on the screenplay, but because that effect was so bad that it was like, to me it was like, reality is breaking down on this guy, on Ricky's environment. And actually, like, there's a scene where there's like the gigolo sits on top of Tito, and Ricky peeks through the window and stuff. And so that Tito was supposed to be played by another actor on that scene, and this a younger person. And I was like, with everyone, I told them, if you are not comfortable doing something, tell me, I will do it myself, no problem. So this guy is like, this 40-year-old friend of mine is going to come and sit on top of you. And he was like, it's okay, no problem. And once my friend came, he was like, push me to the side. He said, I'd rather not do this,
Yeah.
And so, no problem. I dressed like Tito, and my friend sit on top of me and everything. But that if that had not happened, that scene, I think that it works because then I told Ricardo, let's see Ricky's face a little bit more. And so and this creates this really weird moment where it's like, and then I added the line like, this person is not real and stuff. And so those accidents, I try to, rather than try to shy away from them, I try to really put a spotlight on the so that it makes it look like it's not a mistake, that is on purpose, and so clever that they did that, but it was actually an accident. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the process of making a movie is pain in a lot of ways, and it's like Apocalypse said, it's that fighting spirit that keeps you going, and the ingenuity that you're showing, like, holy shit, man. That's
actually one of the things that's really funny to me is that most people, like, their favorite part is Sister Panda.
Yeah.
And that Sister Panda was not on the screenplay. What was on the screenplay was like another version of the same thing, with this character who was in the commercials, and then he rescued them. But it was supposed to be like this giant aspirin, like this, like a mascot or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always have that, like, the last thing that we're gonna shoot is the stuff, because we're gonna have to build the thing and the costume and all that. And of course, we ran out of money. We didn't. I wanted to make like 9 ninja costumes, but I couldn't. I just had 3, so we have like the same 3 run around the camera, or we have like this effect where you clearly see the shadows that there is a composite shot and stuff. And so I knew that and that sequence was with Sister Panda. It had like puppets, and it was and at a certain point I thought we find it we had a nun that's like who's had a headache, and so Sister Panda, the other character was called Little Pill, gives her a pill, and the nun starts to skateboard and stuff. It says radical and things like that. But it was too much. I couldn't do it. And so at a certain point, I thought, why don't we use like the nun costume? And then we can have Ricky dressed like a nun, because that would be really funny. And that's how we come up. And then I have to sell the idea to the actor. So that's why, no, this is, I can tell this person like, no, this is you're playing a nun. I have to tell them, no, this is like, you're playing like Freddy Krueger type character, this is a crazy. So we have to put on this ugly makeup, and so that was one of the things that you have to come up with a solution, because you don't have the resources to. But that's the favorite part of everyone is Sister Panda.
It's great. Sister Panda rules.
Yeah, Sister Panda was great. My favorite part is definitely when the shark comes through the window. I don't know what I said on the episode was my favorite part, but that trailer, and I think the trailer made me think it was going to be an entirely different movie.
Oh, yeah. Yes, but I think like another inspiration was that on those Italian films, the artwork was super incredible, and there was no way that they could deliver on that film. Like, no way. Like you don't have the budget and everything. So I was really, from the beginning, I knew that I have to make like an awesome poster. There is no way that that's not the movie. But actually, the first thing that I came up with was the poster before writing anything. Mm-hmm. I was like, I bought a Photoshop, but I was like, I had one of these Mexican action heroes from the 80s, and I took like one of these guys, and I took a shark, and then I put a ninja in it, and it was like, what is this? And then I wrote down like the Mexican Yakuza, and it was like, no, I have to do this film. This is
the so Mexican Yakuza was
Yakuza. I still don't say it correctly.
We have other jokes because we do Ninjanuary, where we just watch ninja films, and we've had our fair share of Yakuza jokes. And if the Yakuza hears this, I want you to know we think you're cool.
Yeah, I would like to keep my pinkies. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, Apocalypse, you had some questions about some of the imagery and stuff within Narco Shark. Did you want to get into that?
Well, not so much the imagery. I mean, I think you kind of cleared up a lot of the facial transitions was something that I really just couldn't comprehend what was going on. I understood what you were doing and what the movie was saying. One thing I wanted to know is what was the decision about the saxophone? Because you're talking to 2 saxophone players.
Oh, wow.
And well, I mean, in high school. And I actually sold my saxophone to a popular ranchero band here in Houston. And so to see a saxophone pop up in your movie, I was like, yes. But why was it a saxophone? What brought all that? How'd that all come out?
Well, that was inspired actually by a Lucio Fulci movie. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called The Devil's Honey. Mm-hmm. And there's this scene where a saxophonist plays on a woman's crotch. And I love that. And also because a lot of these Mexican action heroes, like they're singers as well. Like at the beginning, I thought that was going to make like a an original song that was super sad, that was playing like in a bar, in a cantina. It was super depressing, because some of those movies have that atmospheric, like, song stuff that makes no sense from the rest of the movie. But again, because of time and everything, I thought, I remember the sax, and I thought, I'm gonna use the sax instead. And of course, when he plays the sax, the song has no sax on it.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It sounds like keyboard.
Yeah, but that was just because I thought it was so, like, he was like a detective and like a saxophone player as well. This was like another element of just weirdness. And yeah, there's I wish there was a more like a clever answer to that. Other than I thought, it will look cool,
Hey,
and actually the third hand thing actually worked with the saxophone as well.
Yeah. The third hand is.
I don't want to get into that.
Do you have
too
a
much.
third hand?
No. I don't want to get it. I don't want to keep diving into that because it presents spoilers. Yeah, that was a lot of fun parts in that cantina scene. I also thought, so like, I can't remember the lines off the top of my head, and I was going back trying to watch our episode to see if I could find it, but I couldn't. But and I don't remember what. There was some cultural superstition in the film where you're making jokes about it, and it reminds me of similar superstitions to like the Cajun culture, which is what I grew up in, and how there's like all this lore and superstition that maybe the grandparents believe in very heavily, and the grandkids might not believe in it as much, but still are still around it and appreciate it. And I thought I saw undertones of like jokes about that, and I was just wondering if what I was seeing was there, or if it's all my experience bleeding into your writing.
No, yeah, there's definitely a lot of black magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, and actually, like, Ricky has this conversation with his mother, and it's not. I think it's not common, but I think, like, I'm still of the age where, like, my parents or my friends' parents will think that, like, heavy metal is satanic or things like that. So that's not uncommon to, hey, please, believe in Jesus and all that stuff. Like, don't do crazy things. But I actually did want to put like some of not that I'm a black magician or anything, but some of the deeper layers of stuff. Like, I actually do have the tattoos that Ricky has, and they do.
Hell yes!
They are
do they work?
Yes, of course. That's how I use the internet to be here with you. But no, and so I wanted to. It does have a blend of a little bit of reality of not, what I'm saying, like of what beliefs and stuff, and they do represent certain things to me, and there are things that I've learned throughout the music that I picked up here and there, like they're symbols from my bands, from my music bands, and that's like so it became like my symbols, like my record label symbols, and I thought, this artist is like I did come up with that a while ago. This when I'm this artist, I wrote about this, like, this is very spiritual thing, and when I'm this other artist, this artist is like super. It's like actually like Ricky Valenti's based on a musician, an alter ego, where he's like he writes very bad lyrics, and he's like a super horny person, but he's like an opposite of me, and there's like the ancient of the draw. It's like another layer of things. So they are, in a way, they do represent certain things, and I do like to research a lot of spiritual stuff, and I do think there was very funny to draw things that I do think to an extent, I've never like do this in front of a mirror so that an evil twin comes out of it. But but I do believe in like aligning things and making things that you can create something cool. So you can call that magic or not, but I'm one of those people that believes in everything, like always trying to research stuff.
And I spend a lot of time researching that, and I definitely will pull out any element in a movie we watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll these guys I think will look at me like I'm crazy, but I'll always be like, no, man, I know what he's talking about. I read about this. And it's like, no, I'm telling you, this is something. So I see when I saw those kinds of things, I was like, yes, I like it.
Yeah, again, they're actually they're based on real stuff, like the cycles. They are the magicians, but magic with a K, like this other thing. They do make those symbols. They're supposed to go into your subconscious and stuff. And then a servitor is actually a thing that they create, like an actual being that works for you and stuff. But I use those ideas to make it, to the movie in a funny way, or try to. But they are based on some real stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome to write that into characters.
Yeah.
And it definitely showed. I think those kind of undertones I was picking up on, I was like, there's just so much. I felt like there was something. I felt like you were saying so much, but it was like none of it were you really talking about. It was just in the background, subtle, and it seemed more like everything else was just kind of just crazy, funny things happening. Like the Mexican Yakuza. It's like, does that exist? It actually might. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. But yeah, one of the things was like, back to before, was like from the poster and everything. I think that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to deliver like this Lethal Weapon movie with explosions and stuff. But I knew that it had to be entertaining throughout. And so what happens in those kind of movies, or at least in my experience, so I thought I knew that I have to deliver on having like the shark at the beginning, the shark in the middle, the shark in the end. And usually like the stuff between is really boring. And I thought, how can I make the stuff between the best part of the movie? And then once I had like a scene between or something, it's like, okay, how can I make the thing between these two things the best thing in the movie? And that's to keep like a entertaining rhythm. And I think like that's why I wanted to talk to you also, because a lot of people that I've talked to people, and they're like on that level. Oh yeah, it's super funny, like the guy who drinks his piece, and the ninjas and all the stuff. But they kind of don't care too much about the other stuff. And you guys were like really saw the other layers, because I wanted to be kind of different layers of the movie. Like also kind of it was like if I was watching, I heard the Narco Shark movie in my hands, and I thought, what if this movie had a dream? What would that dream be? Like this other, because again, I can't compete with budget and special effects and stuff, and I try to make it up with jokes per minute. That's what I said. Like this has to be, and I think in that way, kind of delivers in the sense that it's kind of entertaining throughout. I think that for moments, depending on your sense of humor, it might be slower and stuff. But that was one of the other inspirations, was to like make the boring parts make the boring parts the best parts of the movie.
I mean, for us, you definitely succeeded. It's and I am curious about the kind of the framing of the movie, the wrapper of the movie, right, where it's the psychologist, and you're watching, and the character in these black and white segments, is it you or is it Ricky?
No, well, to me, it's like I would be closer to being me, but it's like the director of those movies
Yeah.
Those movies exist in that reality. He's like the director, and this guy who's like, why? Just like you. He's like on a podcast. He's like, why are you doing this? And so that basically, but again, this is not complete reality. Is still like the subconscious place, like this another place, not a real place. And once I started with that idea, that's when it allowed me to get weirder with stuff. And it was very. I actually don't remember in what moment like the movie went off the rails, because in the screenplay, I mean, we're talking about a movie called Narco Shark. I know we're not talking about Oppenheimer or anything, but in the screenplay, I did put a lot of effort in the structure, or having things mirror or the geometry and stuff. But at a certain time, when I decided that the movie was going to end that way, then, okay, so how can we put things before so that it makes sense and it starts to break into the reality of the movie? But to answer that, I don't know if to me, it's not really me. It's like a version of like the troubled writer or something. And obviously we are all traumatized by something, and we do things unconsciously. We repeat stuff. And so it was like, why would someone make that movie? And so that was the idea. For the next one was like, it's not really exactly like that. Like, TETRACTYS is not about a director who is going to make another movie. He talks about his influences and stuff. It's not about that. It's more like a surreal journey of this subconscious of this person, and you can see like why he does the things that he does in some way. But that's the idea behind it. But yeah, another thing that I don't want to forget this, but when you were talking about it, like I know some of the things on Narco Shark and TETRACTYS like have meaning, like I know where they come from. Some of the things are unconscious, some don't have meaning, but you assign meaning to them and stuff like that. And when I was hearing your review, you say, Adam, like, I think that Gerardo is really Tito. He's the subconscious. And I was like, what? I'm Tito, no. And I got messages from my friends, like, are you Tito? Are you really that crazy? And so I just wanted to clarify that. But actually, when I thought about it, was like, I mean, it made sense, like the childhood rejected by the adults, or like in Mexico, like our parents are. Like the heroes of my father, for instance, are like Charles Bronson and Clint Eastwood and all this macho stuff. And I think that, and also one of the things that when I wear just a mustache, I look exactly like my father. So that's why it's so funny, everything. But I want to clarify that I don't rape ninjas. Just wanted to say that. But yeah, it was really interesting because it was really funny, but it was like, it does make sense on some level.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't my intention, like completely,
Yeah.
So have you seen a movie called The Amazing Bulk?
I know which one it is, but I haven't seen it. I know.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I should watch it.
Wanting to get a read.
Yeah, I
was wanting to get a read on your read, like an opinion from you on it.
He's like a Purple Hulk, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those knockoff things. It's a fun time, but some of the visuals are similar to your visual style.
Oh wow!
And so it's
super high budget.
Yeah, just really expanding the pocketbook there. Well, so you mentioned TETRACTYS a little bit. How long have you been thinking about this movie? Where did this idea come from? Let's start there.
Well, it's funny that you asked that, because I think that I have the idea for a project called TETRACTYS like from maybe like 18 years ago. Like it started. It was supposed to be a graphic novel, but the story was a little bit different. But at the time, again, like maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I started to research more into like sacred geometry and symbols and stuff like that. Like for instance, like the song that plays in several times in Narco Shark. It plays when they say that Tito, the actor, is dead, and when they're in the house and stuff. That track is called "The Flower of Life," and it's from an EP that I released like over 10 years ago. And it was very much influenced in that ideas of sacred geometry. And I had the word TETRACTYS for like almost 20 years, and I want to make a movie like this. And just recently I thought, someone will ask me, what does TETRACTYS mean? And I didn't remember this from 15 years or whatever when I just wrote the name, the word. And so I went back and it's like, this is a symbol by Pythagoras, like this triangle holds like every aspect of the universe, of reality, different levels and stuff. And I was like blown away, like, this is, I mean, again, Narco Shark, right? but I thought it makes sense of the levels of reality and stuff. And so TETRACTYS is like the one project that I've always wanted to do. So I said that I finished Narco Shark. And making a movie is the hardest thing you're gonna make ever. Like I've made music and it's hard, and I've made comic books and it's hard, but making a movie is 100 times harder. And I said to my friend, like, it's like you had a 12-month pregnancy with Narco Shark, and a very difficult pregnancy and a very difficult delivery. And the next day I went to the doctor and he says, you're pregnant. It's called TETRACTYS. You have to like it. I shouldn't do it like this close, but I knew before I started making Narco Shark that I would go straight into TETRACTYS. I knew that. After TETRACTYS, I have some ideas, but I don't know if I'm going to go straight to making it. But yeah, and also I put a lot of effort in the screenplay it's a lot of it doesn't make sense, or at the beginning it's like, it's all stupid things. Like I read a review, but on Twitter from a Japanese person, they said, like, I was very disappointed at this movie, Narco Shark, at the beginning, because it was all very stupid stuff. And then as the movie started to progress, like the stupid stuff started to make sense. And it was like, yes, it was like, I took it like a good review,
Mm-hmm.
And so, but again, made a lot of effort with the screenplay. But with TETRACTYS, I don't have a screenplay. I just have an idea, and it's gonna be more about the feeling. And also, one of the other things that I learned, because I started to make soundtracks for imaginary movies. And when I did that, I started to get up really early, like at 5 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. And I started recording stuff, and I did this like for 2 or 3 weeks. And then I came back to the recordings, and I didn't remember making any of that because I was like half asleep. And then a friend told me, no, that's hypnagogic art. And then I started to do that like more intentionally, like, I'm gonna just write without thinking and stuff. So the practice is, I have an outline or an idea of where it's going, but I don't have like a specific thing that I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. And that's also inspired a lot by, Jodorowsky and David Lynch. Like, nice. Another thing is, to me, when I started making Narco Shark, this is going to look horrible. Everything is going to be horrible. But if the story is fun, it's going to work. And then the next one, TETRACTYS, is going to be great. That's the film that's going to look good. And now I'm like, it's still going to be a little bit trash, It's just going to look a little bit better. But again, the idea is what is important to me, And that's the idea behind TETRACTYS is to make like an art house, super pretentious movie. But again, with Narco Shark, how do I make like a horrible made movie fun? That like, how do I make like an art house, black and white, pretentious movie fun to watch with your friends? That's the idea.
Nice.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, so you said that you don't have a screenplay yet or anything like that, but you do have the Kickstarter up. So how has that been going? Like, what have you, Yeah, I mean, you have the trailer out and everything. Obviously, we'll promote it here on this episode. But how's the Kickstarter been going so far for TETRACTYS?
Well, it's funny because I get a lot of like in Narco Shark, like we said, we have different layers. I think that again, it's a stupid movie, but it works on a very basic, silly level. And then you got the other stuff, surreal stuff like the mannequin and all this stuff. But with the TETRACTYS, it goes straight into the surreal stuff. And so they're like, I have friends that are like, oh, great. Like they don't get it. Like they don't know if I'm crazy. Like with Narco Shark, at least they knew that it was supposed to be funny. They don't know. And so I've gotten that reaction of, this is super strange. Congratulations. But that's why it was so important to me to talk to you guys, because you and I'm assuming like your crowd, the people who watch you, can understand those influences. I was going at first, like I said, I was going, what if David Lynch made Hellraiser? Oh my God. But now I'm like, oh, what the reality now is like, what if Neil Breen made Eraserhead? That's where I'm at right now. But it's that to me is still very cool, you know, as a fan of different.
You're both architects, and that's the beauty of it, is you and Neil Breen are both architects.
Yeah, and actually my brother asked me like, is Narco Shark ego exploitation? Like, you know, one of those movies that the guy is the director and the writer and everything.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think I qualify, because usually those guys have money. Like that's one of the differences, that they have money to spend on the movie to make themselves stars.
Yeah.
And the reason I did all this stuff, again, is not because I'm a egomaniac and I want to be the star, I want to be the actor. I'm not like that. It was because no one else was going to do it. That's it. If I had someone that could do what Ricky has to do, I will happily be behind the camera. And also, like, I recorded the voices and stuff, which some of them are horrible. Some of them came out. Some of them are cool, but to me, that was also like an opportunity to learn. So now I know, oh, maybe one day I don't have to do all this stuff. But I know what it takes to do it, right?
Was it in English?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you do, I mean, is there a Spanish version?
No. So Ricky speaks in Spanish in a certain, when he speaks with his mother, he speaks in Spanish. But actually, when I was about to record that, I thought, it will be funny if he speaks in Spanish, because I thought like someday I'm going to make a dub version. And I thought it would be funny if Ricky talked like Puerto Rican for some reason, like super. Like in the accents all over the place, like from Brooklyn at some point or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm a really bad version of that, right? So so at a certain point he speaks Spanish, but most of the time he speaks English. And when we shot the actors, I didn't give them the lines or anything. It was like, okay, so you're gonna stand here, and I'm gonna off camera, I'm gonna tell you the lines and just repeat. Okay. Because that was a way for them to not prepare. Basically, I sabotaged their performances so they would fail, so they won't. Yeah. I wanted that feeling that you get of these guys don't know what they're doing, and the only way to get that, like I wanted the movie to feel like they made it in with no money and with no time, and that's how we did it. That's the way to get it, is to have no money and no time and nothing, you know. And so that's that he speaks in English, and again, some of the voices, like because I made all the voices myself, I had to differentiate them a little bit, and in some of them I did use like an effect, and it sounds super weird. On some of them it's more exaggerated, but it adds to the overall like weirdness of the vibe and stuff.
It's amazing. I mean, it's a force. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what happens with TETRACTYS, and I know that if you want somebody to help out, I will happily fly down and be there. If you get a shooting schedule and I can block off a week or so, I will happily do that. I'm sure Joey would do the same. Probably any of us. I mean,
I wish I could, but I don't have a passport. My wife, she has her passport and she speaks Spanish, so she'd be.
We'll get you in. Don't
Very.
worry.
We'll get you in. I'm not.
yeah, just don't do it in Texas. It's real sketchy around here.
Okay.
The border here is not good. Yeah, but I mean, it's that, yeah, you're gonna be amazing. Like that's the thing, right?
Yeah,
you just have this fucking drive about you. And you nailed it, right? Like it's not an ego thing. It's just that you knew this had to get done. Nobody else was gonna could help or wanted to or anything like that. So you're like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And I've watched these guys. I've helped out with these guys making 2 feature films, tons of short films, a non-countable amount, an insurmountable amount of short films. The feature film is so hard to make, and it is. I almost made a Bigfoot movie. I still want to. I'm looking at the mask right now. It's amazing, but life got in the way of that. But I was so close to jumping off the ledge. You guys had me, and we were about to make a movie. But it is a daunting process.
Yeah,
it's the hardest thing. It's scary.
And I also want to say, when before the review episode of you got Apocalypse is a little bit intimidating to me. I don't know why, but you were actually the nicest one on the review. Like you say some really nice things, and actually you said, I would like to see something along the lines what will he do with more budget and stuff.
Yeah.
But TETRACTYS is again ultra low budget. And actually, I have the idea for Narco Shark 2, and I know that's it sounds super generic, but I had a super I think that it's a really interesting idea to make Narco Shark 2, which is basically Ricky doesn't want to do a sequel. Basically, that's the idea, and so yeah, it would be amazing if you could be I don't know. I would have to come up with the American Yakuza, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure that definitely.
We have to use your real American voices, so
the Texan
we can have
Yakuza.
some production, production value.
They all have Texas accents, like howdy.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Ninja outfits and cowboy hats. We're just
sorry, we can't let you do that.
Yeah. Oh, didn't see you there.
No.
But yeah, man. I mean, just incredible. And I know that in the episode we said I want to see what he does next, but I don't want it to be Narco Cop. But after talking to you, I absolutely trust whatever idea you have. If you're I want to make Narco Shark 2, I fucking believe in you, man. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be, because it's not going to be Narco Shark 2. That's the thing, right? It's going to be.
That's exactly what it's the same as a poster. And again, come up with a super cool poster and just don't do that movie at all.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I want an action figure of Narco Shark.
Yeah,
I really do, because whenever I saw, I'm sorry, I'm taking us off track, but whenever I saw the trailer and we talked about the trailer, I did not know that it's a full shark body on top of a human body.
Oh yeah, that's the stop motion sequence.
With the punching or the boxing gloves.
I was picturing a shark with arms and legs.
I don't have it with me, but that's a knockoff He-Man figure. And of course, I reach out to a person who does stop motion, who's won awards and stuff, who lives here in the city. But at a certain point, I knew I can't pay him.
Yeah.
I can't afford it, and so I just took a He-Man figure and I made it myself. I shot the stop motion thing, and it of course looks horrible, but
no, you made that stop motion yourself.
Yeah,
Nice.
Damn, dude. Like,
Yeah.
just
That's my fault. Yes.
It's just ingenuity. It's just ingenuity.
yeah.
It's
And also like I haven't told this, but like the animated sequence, I shot the live action sequence, and then we added like a filter, and then we use I don't like artificial intelligence at all, but we have, because it steals art from other places and stuff.
Mhm.
But I have like the guy that made the poster, Narco Shark poster, who's like my best friend for many years. He's done the covers for several of my albums. He actually works for DC Comics and stuff, and he sent me a lot of drawings, and so we used his drawings to make the animation on top of the other animation.
Yeah.
So and again, the idea was this is gonna blow everyone away. It's gonna look so incredible, and then it looked horrible, and then I was like, great, because the thing broke. Then I added that the apparatus broke, and that kind of, that's why it glitches. But anyway, what I was going to tell you is that when I shot the Ricky dunking on a shark, like I dress my mother as the shark, and then I dunk on my mother like Shaquille O'Neal, like without mercy.
Oh, boom shakalaka.
Yeah,
Damn.
so those are the things that you have to do when you don't have.
Yeah.
That's a supportive mother.
Yeah,
That is a very supportive mother.
yeah, and my mother made the ninja costumes also. So.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Wardrobe.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always important to have people who love you when you're trying to make weird shit. Yeah, I can't think of anything. Like, I have so many questions, but I also like don't even know how to. It's like I could talk to you for hours, but I know we've already been talking for an hour, so we're probably running on time. Is there anything else that you wanted to say or ask or anything like that before we hop off?
No, just really that I'm really happy that you guys, because I don't know how you discovered the trailer for Narco Shark, but I'm really happy that you saw it, because that's how I discovered you, and I feel like we are aligned in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, I'm very happy about that, from meeting you guys and the support that you have for the film. And I hope that, again, it's very hard to explain TETRACTYS what it's going to be, because I don't even know exactly how it's going to turn out. But I hope that when it's done, that you watch it and maybe be entertained by it. And be in Narco Shark 2, I don't know, something that, I mean, I like it. Like, you have to sign an agreement before, so that when you come here, you don't back down.
Oh, no. You should see some of the short films that we've done. You're not going to scare us away. We've done some trust shit on film. I sat in a theater with my family and friends with just a flaccid penis, full frame. It's supposed to be. It's my characters, just casual. So
your parents were in the audience there.
They were right in front of me. Yeah, when you
made your dad proud, didn't you?
Yep. And my sister, my kid sister, was in the audience as well. So that was funny watching them just like shift uncomfortably when they were like, So, but no, we're not gonna pull a Tito. We're not gonna back out. Okay. But yeah, Apocalypse, did you have anything else that you wanted to say or ask?
No, I think cool. That's it.
Well, yeah, this is Gerardo. It's been awesome. Thank you so much. Do you have like social media that you want to plug or anything like that before we go?
Yeah, well, I'm everywhere. Like has Música di Diable, which is like my one-man record label.
Okay.
And it's very hard to spell in English, but I rehearse it. So it's MUSIKEDIDIABLE, Música di Diable. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll put that on the screen and in the episode description and all that stuff. And yeah, check out the first trailer and Kickstarter page for TETRACTYS and Narco Shark if you haven't seen it already. It's a fucking trip. So If you haven't seen it already, you are in for a treat, and enjoy the ride. I've been Adam Edwards, joining me, Apocalypse Howl, and Gerardo Preciado. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for watching and listening, and we will see you next time.